All right, here we go. Happy Friday. This is the second day doing this. We are looking at solving quadratics by factoring, but the problem is we have this coefficient on our a value, which is the v squared. So if the v squared is the a, the v is the b, and the non-v is the c. And I'm going to start saying that because you're going to get to know that. You need to get to know it when we start using quadratic formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first term, which is the v2 term, and multiply it by the third term, which is the c term. It doesn't have a variable, and multiply it. So 5 times negative 4 is negative 20, but we're just going to use 20, its absolute value. And then we need to make numbers that are going to make 19 our number here. So 20 divided by 1 is 20, and we can get 19, but we need to check that. So when we go to check it, we need to take this number, 20, or both numbers, and divide it by 5. 20 divided by 5 ends up being 4. Look at your answer key. Is 4 there? Well, it's 1 over 5 and negative 4, so yes, we have a 4. This is going to be our solution set. So we're going to use this. It's just a little cheat way to do it. I understand that you won't have the answers if you get onto a test, but for the sake of being here, you're just going to have to keep using the ones, and then you have to test it by plugging the number in. So we bring down that 5, we put our parentheses, set it to 0, take our factors, put it in there, take our variable, put it in there. We look at the third term's value. It is a negative, therefore one has to be positive, one has to be negative in a particular order. We look at the larger number, we look at that number, our second term, that's what our large number is going to be. So our larger number is going to be a positive. That means the other one has to be a negative. So if this term's a negative, you take the larger number here. If this is positive, then both of them will be the number here. That's just the rule, the easiest rule to know. All right, we cannot separate them yet. We have to take the 5 and divide everything by 5 because we still have this number sitting here. Got to get rid of it. So 20 divided by 5 is 4, so we have v plus 4. Negative 1 divided by 5 doesn't work, so we're going to take the 5 and put it in front of the v and bring the negative 1 down. Now we can set these to 0. So we have v plus 4 equals 0 and 5v minus 1 equals 0. Well, this one's the easy one. We're going to subtract 4. We're just solving the equation. Use its opposite operation. So what we do on one side, do on the other. What just happened? How did a snapshot start? Is it still recording now? That just come up like that? That was weird. Okay. Oh, I'm still recording. Okay. That was weird. Alrighty. So negative 4. Hopefully you didn't lose me here. We just did opposite operations. I don't know how quickly that popped up. And over here, we're going to add 1 to both sides, the opposite operation here. We're left with 5v equals 1. And then we divide by 5. We're left with v equals, and it's just 1 over 5. Those are our x-intercepts. If you don't come up with this and it's not what you have there on your answer sheet, this might be the reason why. There might be another one here, but if you quickly check it, and if you divide either of the numbers and you come up with one of them that's on there, it doesn't matter positive or negative, because note that when you took 20 divided by 5, you got 4. That's a factor. Your answer is negative 4 because that's the intercept. This is a factor. This is the x-intercept. So if they ask you for factors, you would just stop here. What are the factors of this quadratic? That's the factors. If it asks you for the x's or the intercepts, that's here, or the zeros, that's here. Okay. The reason they call it the zeros is because we're setting them to 0, because the y value is a 0. Okay. All right. Look at number 2 here. Cover that up down there. It's so distracting. All right. Once again, we take the first term and we multiply it to the second term. We get negative 14, so we're just going to say 14. And we need to come up with a value of 5. So we take 1. 14 divided by 1 is 14. I cannot get 5 from 14 and 1 if I add or subtract. I get 15 and 13. So I'm going to divide it by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. If I add 2 to 7, I get 9. If I subtract 2 from 7, I get 5. There we go. Well, what we need to check though, take 7 divided by 7. So 7 divided by 7, we get 1. Your answer key has a 1 on it. I get it, it's not ideal, but it's an easy way to do that for us today. Since we're so far behind, I'm not going to make you do the extra work on checking. Basically what you would do is take, if you wanted to check it, take the 2 and replace it for the m and solve the whole thing. And if it comes out to be 0, then you've got the right one. Bring down the 7, because we need to bring that down. Put your variable in there. Put your factor in there. We have a negative, so we know it has to be opposites. So one's either going to be plus and the other one's negative, or one's going to be negative and the other one's plus. So we look at the second value. It's negative, so the larger one is negative. The other one is positive, or plus, minus, plus, however you want to look at it. All right, at this point, we cannot finish this. We need to divide everything by that 7. Negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. 2 divided by 7 is a decimal. We can't do it, so we're going to take that 7 and throw it back in front of the m and bring down the plus 2. Thank you. Now at this point, we can set these to 0 and find our zeros, or our x-intercepts, or x's. Going to go ahead and add 1 to both sides, because it's minus 1, so we're going to plus 1. Opposite operations are gone, and 0 plus 1 is 1. So there's our first x-intercept, our x, or 0. We'll do the opposite operation here. Since plus 2, we'll subtract 2. 2's are gone. We're left with 7 times m equals, and 0 minus 2 is negative 2. And since we have 7 times m, we'll do the opposite operation, which is divide. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 1 times m is just m, or we say they're gone. And unfortunately, we're coming out with a decimal. Just leave it as negative 2 over 7. All right? Don't use the decimal part of it, because when you get into Algebra 2, she's not going to want you to do that. If you go on further in math, you're not going to want decimals or mixed numbers. Leave them as fractions or improper fractions. So there is our second one. Note, it's a process. Multiply, check, divide, set to 0, solve. Boom, that's it. Doesn't matter the numbers. It matters the process. Start thinking that way, and you're going to do a heck of a lot better in algebra, geometry, all of those. I know it's an ugly V. It's Friday. Leave me alone. All right, here we go. Take the first coefficient times the constant, which is the third term, times the last term. 2 times negative 15 is negative 30, but we're going to take the absolute value and factor that. We need to get 7, the absolute value of that, 7. So we'll start with 1. 30 divided by 1 is 30. No way we're going to get 7 from here. That's going to be 29 or 31. We'll take 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17. 15 minus 2 is 13. Not going to get us the 7. Divide by 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10. Yep. 10 plus is 13. 10 minus is 7. We have it, but let's check. Take the 2 times the 10 divided the 10 divided by the 2, we get 5. And is that one of them? It sure is. So this is our set. Otherwise, what I would end up doing is throwing that one of these two numbers up in here for V and solve it. But let me go a bunch through the process, and this is normally what we would do. 10 squared is 100. 2 times 100 is 200. 10 times negative 7 is negative 70, which gives me negative 30. Oh, wait a minute. It's not working out. 10 divided by 2. Yeah, this is the right solution set. 3 over 2. Okay. I don't know what I did. 10 squared, 200. 70. What's that? Yeah, it is going to work, but I don't know why when I add that in there, it's not. Oh, because that's not the right one. Never mind. When I get to the end, I have to put the 5 in there, not the 10. Never mind. Again, Friday, brain fart. Here we go. All right, bring the 2 down. I have to put the answer in there, not this one. All right. Our factors, 10 and 3, and put our V and our V. We look at the last number, it's a negative, so they have to be opposites. Either one's positive, negative, or negative, positive. We look at this one, it's a negative, so our larger number is negative. That number determines the larger one when this is negative. This one determines what they both are if it's positive. So if this one's negative, this one's positive. That's why I always put the 10 on this side, so that you kind of, when you put it here, you just know if that's negative, this one's negative, and you switch it if this one's negative. All right. So at this point, we need to take that 2 and multiply it by both of our factors. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. And we can go ahead and set it to 0 already if we want. Or, nah, let's not do that. I think I'm jumping ahead of you guys. Let's leave the sameness here. Be consistent. All right, 3 divided by 2 does not work. It's a decimal. So we are going to throw that 2 back in front of the V and add the V. Here's your factors. These are your factors. And the reason that's why I chose to do that, because I want you to see that the factors are here. So if they ask you for just factoring the factors, we'd be done. But they're not. We're asking for the zeros, so we need to set them to 0. And solve it. Opposite operation. We'll add 5 to both sides. So minus 5 plus 5 is 0. V plus 0 is V. 0 plus 5 is 5. There's our first x-intercept, our first 0. Our x's. With this one, we have plus 3, so we're going to subtract 3. Our 3's are gone. We're left with 2 times V. And 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Well, this is 2 times V, so the opposite of times is divide. So we'll divide both sides. We have V equals negative 3 over 2. Yes, it is negative 3 over 2. We don't want to do the decimal or a mixed number. We're going to leave it as an improper fraction or a fraction if there was one there. Let's take a look at number 4. I'm probably going to run out of room here. I got a little overzealous on that one. All right. So we're going to take that first term, the A term times the C term, which is the last one, or the constant. Coefficient, first coefficient times the constant. So 5 times 12. Anybody? Yep, negative 60, but we're going to take the absolute value, so we're just going to use 60. We need to come up with 28. So our first one we start with is 60 divided by 1 is 60. There's no way I'm going to get 28 if I add or subtract it. 61 and 59. It's even, so I can divide by 2. 60 divided by 2 is 30. Can I get 28 from 30 and 2? Yes, I can.